We're here at CyberTalks with Dan Prieto, Head of Cybersecurity Strategy for Google Public Sector. Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Wyatt.
I'd like to start by asking, where has your organization really made the greatest progress over the past year in really addressing the federal government's efforts to improve cybersecurity?
Yeah, I'd like to start by talking about the progress the government has made and how we're sort of matching that. I think in the last 12 to 18 months, the government has made dramatic strides in really reorienting how they're approaching cybersecurity. Obviously, with the executive order, the focus on zero trust, and the focus on cybersecurity analytics, I don't think you can understate what a strategic change this is in terms of how they're approaching cybersecurity. That guidance out of the White House has been followed by a number of OMB memos, specific implementation guidance, maturity models, and capability frameworks from the Department of Homeland Security, from the Department of Defense, and from the intelligence community. Those changes mean that we're really framing this approach to cybersecurity in government in a different way. Historically, it's been about inputs, more labor, more compliance, more tools. Now I really think it's more about outcomes. How do we think about moving towards zero trust? How do we think about detecting threats faster and with more agility? And what do we need to do in terms of working with cloud providers and traditional providers of security in order to make that happen?
And then where would you say your organization has maybe made the greatest progress in using the technology you bring to the market to help the government improve the delivery of citizen services, employee productivity, or mission overall?
Really, I'd like to focus on cybersecurity here again. I think what we've done over the last, in response to these changes in policy is really bring to bear, I think, the unique history we have in terms of zero trust. Google runs the largest operational zero trust implementation globally, and we've been innovating in this space for over a decade. So we've been engaged on the federal civilian side and on the national security side, really bringing our unique history and background here. We are working with a number of organizations with our Office of the Cloud CISO, as well as our professional services organization, to do cybersecurity assessments in terms of where they are on the maturity curve and think through how to identify and prioritize the workloads that make sense to move into a zero trust posture quickly. In addition, a number of organizations responding to the log analytic requirements of the executive order are really struggling. The amount of data that they need to manage and analyze has increased by, in some cases, 10x and 20x. So that demand actually calls for the cloud and its strengths: agility, speed, and scale. And so we're working with a lot of organizations to really transform what they do on the cyber analytics side. And what's critical there is it's not just, again, about adding more tools. It's about really allowing them to think more about how to transform the traditional business process of cybersecurity analytics and threat detection. Oftentimes that's highly manual. Oftentimes it's high toil because they're integrating across so many different tools in the organization. And again, I think the cloud can be a game changer. And strategically, it's important here because most organizations for a number of years have had security strategy on the one hand and cloud strategy on the other hand. There's an opportunity to bring those together. How do I transform my cybersecurity posture by injecting cloud and reducing the percentage of my IT estate that is legacy, number one? And then when I do adopt cloud, how do I secure the cloud? And then how do I use cloud native tools to better protect the things I already have? In addition, we've been very active in the market, continuing to add to our skills. In addition to acquiring a SIM company, Chronicle, a few years ago, we also acquired security orchestration and automation tools with the acquisition of Simplify, and most recently the acquisition of Mandiant, which just continues to inject deeper cybersecurity expertise into what we can bring to the government.
Some great points and some great efforts at moving forward on the cybersecurity front globally and in the federal government. So Dan Prieto, thank you so much for stopping by here at CyberTalks to talk to us.
Terrific. Thanks, Wyatt.